Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield talking to the big stars, and the Kinks were one of the most important and influential rock acts of their generation and time. And of course, Ray Davies, well, he's a genius. He writes everything, he knows everything, and he was part of the Kinks, and he joins us now. How are you?
All right, I write a lot, but I don't know everything.
Well, I don't know about that, you see, because I think a man who can write a good tune is a far better man than most other people, because there's so much rubbish about. When did you get that skill down, and when did you learn how to do it properly?
It's strange. I started writing like most people do as a hobby, and I joined the Kinks. It was my brother's band. We were an R&B covers band. And they were we got a record deal, we had to do cover records, and I didn't really have any thought about writing songs. And some of the songs, the original songs they presented to us were so, I hate to say, awful, and so unlike the band. I decided to write my own songs, and I had the idea for You Really Got Me for a few years, and we recorded that. Of course, that went to number one. Then everybody thought I could do it, so people knocking at the door. And I'd written about 4 songs total, so I had to learn very quickly.
Does that make you nervous then when you have one massive hit? Because, of course, the second one's the important one. Anybody can write one hit, with a million people do that, but it's coming back with something that's even better, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It wasn't a formulaic thing, the follow-up, All Day and All of the Night. It was actually written with my music publisher standing over my shoulder saying, we must, literally in this accent, we must have another hit. And I started thumping out the chords for All Day and All of the Night when I just had the same chords as You Really Got Me, but stuck an odd middle chord, B flat, into it. It just went from there. I think also we were touring a lot. The band were on a high, and that also helps you write when the band's very energized and there's great unity in the band. It's like a soccer team, when they're really on the form, the luck goes with you.
When did it become normal that you switch on the radio and you hear your song, and you hear it here and in Paris and Milan and New York? I mean, that's an international song that people play all over for very different reasons.
Yeah, that's an incredible experience to have that. I just played Switzerland yesterday, played a big festival there for television, and did exactly that. Did a radio interview, and they were playing a lot of these tracks, particularly from this new album I've got out.
Let's go back to your childhood first then. Were you always musical and interested in performing?
Well, I come from this large family, and I guess it's in those days, my parents' generation, they always had a piano in the house, and everybody did a turn at Christmas. And there was 8 of us, so we had 7 siblings, so we were all, performers in one way or another. A lot of scene stealing going on. And I think what it was, my sisters, I had 6 sisters, and they were all much older than I was, and they brought music from their generation, from their era, that I got access to. And particularly one sister who emigrated to Canada sent me the first rock and roll I ever heard, early Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry.
Is there any feeling like that when you hear a song for the first time? And I remember it growing up, and it just moves you and takes you to that next place.
My sister said that Elvis Presley, she sent over Hound Dog and all those hits. And I remember thinking, God, that's so simple. It must be possible to do that. It's not until you actually try to make it that simple it gets difficult. It's the art of simplicity. And that's why things like You Really Got Me, All Day and All the Night are picked up by new generations all the time, because it's almost the first song that a lot of people learn on guitar.
Why did you want to make another album? Isn't it possible you could make something and people go, well, it's not as good as the Kinks?
Yeah, that always happens. Even when you're with the Kinks, we put Waterloo Sunset. I remember that vividly. One of the journalists from the media, the music media, said, "This is not as good as You Really Got Me. It's no You Really Got Me," because it's a totally different song. I think the Kinks, because I was discovering how to write, my music was diverse. The man who wrote Waterloo Sunset, it couldn't possibly be the same person who wrote All Day and All of the Night, but it was. It's the diversity of the music, I think, which has actually inspired, the new music here on this new record.
What is it like being the man that has created so many karaoke classics? Does it bother you when you go on holiday to Benidorm and everybody wants to sing your stuff?
Well, I don't go to Benidorm a whole lot.
I thought not.
I go to the British Legion from time to time. No, it's... I know what you're saying, and it's... I actually did a karaoke. I went to a Korean karaoke house in Austin, Texas, with some friends this year. And I did a karaoke version of All Day and All of the Night, my own song. And I think, they put the lyrics up in front of you. They actually typed out the lyrics wrong.
I hope you corrected them.
No, I just left.
I mean, something like Waterloo Sunset, you mentioned it earlier. I mean, that la, 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 we can all do it, especially when we're drunk. A stroke of genius for you to write that.
Yeah, I think I wrote, like I said, I come from this mad family, wonderful family, but I wrote lots of songs for my dad, and my dad said the secret, if you're going to write songs, is to write something that people can sing in the pub. And he was right in that respect, certainly on some of the songs like Sunny Afternoon.
What was the year that you made it? Did you wake up one morning and think, actually now we've got where we needed to be?
It's because I was very confident, very young. When I was 18 years old, we made You Really Got Me, and we got it sounding the way I wanted it to sound. And we put our equipment in our little Bedford Dormobile van. We drove out from the studio, and I said, that's going to be a number one record. And I think that's the moment I really realised that that particular record would be a success. You just know, it's like painting a picture, writing a book. You just know when something's complete, and it's just a wonderful feeling, and I'm very lucky to have experienced that.
You've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How important was America for you? Because I know so many try, like Robbie, and it's so important to them, and then fail miserably. Did you actively seek your popularity over there, or did it just happen?
America happened despite ourselves. I mean, we tried every possible way. We even got banned for 4 years. I'm not sure. We still don't know what for. But we went back, and we had to build again after having like 15 big hits all over the world, going back to America with nothing. But it was a cause, Band. It's a great thing about having a tight-knit band. You adopt a cause, and America became a cause. We'd had lots of hits there, but I really wanted to play all over the country. It's a massive country to tour.
We had Cliff on the other week, and I know he talked a lot about skiffle, and Ali Campbell was on the other week. He was influenced by that. I think that was a big part of your upbringing as well, wasn't it? That was kind of the introduction into rock and roll.
Well, it's not so much skiffle, but access to great blues artists like Big Bill Broonzy and Josh White. And skiffle obviously was a derivative of traditional jazz, because the first real skiffle stars, I think it was a Ken Collier trad band incorporated skiffle into their set, and it became a very obviously an art form in itself. People like Lonnie Donegan and Chas McDevitt but my origins, my real inspiration was the American blues.
Tell me about the covers you've done. I mean, one of the greats is Long Tall Sally. I know you did that. Is that as much fun covering someone else's? Because A, you don't get the paycheck for the PRS, and B, it's not yours.
You Really Got Me came about because I was given so many awful songs to cover. We did Long Tall Sally because I think Little Richard's a great performer. It's the first concert I ever saw was Little Richard. But then I think we wanted an identity. The only way we could have the same identity on record as we had on stage, which was, for those days, pretty weird, was to write our own stuff.
I want to ask you a question next about the hedonism of being one of the greatest rock and roll stars in the world during the late 60s, early 70s. And we're going to get back to that next, and we're going to play tracks and talk about your new album, which is called See My Friends. It's out now. We're talking to Ray Davies from the Kinks on your favourite local radio station.